This is Special Report.
Black holes are one of the strangest things in existence.
Neil Armstrong may have seen extraterrestrials on the moon.
When he spies a discernible shape.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
You can deny all the things I've seen, all the things I've discovered, but not for much longer. Because too many others know what's happening out there. And no one, no government agency has jurisdiction over the truth.
Welcome, everybody, to the embattled broadcast from behind enemy lines in the once great state of New York. My name is Rob Yox. This is Full Spectrum Universe, and we are here today to tackle a tremendous issue that we've seen people say that they've debunked it when it hasn't been. And one of the things is, I'm going to say this up front, is a lot of people, they get somewhat of a bad rap for bringing up these issues. My idea is to explore anything and everything, especially when we can't confirm nor deny either side of the coin. So with that, we're going to keep open hearts, open minds. Today we have Joan of Angels with us, and of course we have Flat Earth Dave from the Flat Earth Podcast. So before we bring up Joan, I'm going to read Dave's bio. We have Flat Earth Dave hails from the East Coast of the United States, where he was born and raised. He began his first flat earth journey when he left his very lucrative corporate job and started his own company. As a hobby, he hosted a conspiracy comedy show at the New York Comedy Club for 3 years. After many fans urged that he look at what he considered to be a ridiculous notion called flat earth, he sought to disprove his conspiracy and put it to bed once and for all. It was then that he discovered that flat earth was in fact true earth and hasn't looked back since. He now is on a mission to wake the world up to flat earth because it is the most important topic today, especially in the light of today's current political and social climate. Now, underneath us, all of Flat Earth Dave's information is there. But before we get there, let's bring in Dr. Joan and Dave. Dave, how are you, my friend?
I am on mute. Now I'm good. What's going on? Doing great. Awesome day.
I'm so excited for you to be here, man. Go ahead, Dr. Joan.
Go ahead.
Just want to say hi. Glad to see you, Dave. Glad to see you, Rob. This is an exciting topic.
It certainly is once you have the courage to look at it. But, you know, people don't like admitting that their entire worldview has been alive. Like everything you do is based on a globe, right? And then when you have to admit, holy crap, that's wrong. You know, once you let it go, it's no big deal. Let it go. Then you understand where you are, who you are, what you are. There's no turning back. There's no turning back. And life gets so like you guys discovered Tartaria. Okay. I got to tell you, Tartaria doesn't work on a globe. It doesn't work on this globe, the timelines, nothing. None of it works. And once you see it, life is all fear goes away. And your imagination of limitless possibilities opens up because there are limitless possibilities. It's hard to imagine something that can't happen, right? Like if you know something can't happen, physically it can't happen, then it's hard to imagine it. But if you say, hey, there's infinite possibilities, you can imagine anything. And imagination is what creates this reality. And they put us on a friggin' heliocentric matrix, right? They put us in a ball so there's nowhere else to go, right? Disclosure is here. It's not light years away. It's a couple thousand miles away. That way, and that way, and that way, and that way. And all of those directions are south, by the way.
You know, I love the fact that you're talking about this decoupling from these mainstream narratives and deprogramming yourself. And that really is what we're trying to do whenever we explore any topics, is to deprogram our subconscious to revert us back to these simplistic ideas where it's almost out of sight, out of mind, without any contextual evidence to either put it either to what it is or the contrary to what it is. So for me, everything is a possibility. Just like we're limitless, the universe or whatever we think the universe is limitless. So, I wanted to start off because a lot of what we know of supposed space is given to us by NASA. And NASA for me means never a straight answer. I don't know about anybody else, but
It
it's
it
the
it
truth.
means not a space agency.
Absolutely.
And that
Absolutely.
too.
So exploring what you've explored, NASA has got to be a huge part or a huge component of looking into what they've done and how they've tried to coerce the public to see specific things that they don't. And I'm sure you have a ton of information on it.
Well, I mean, NASA, when you take the time and look at what NASA shows us, and now it's SpaceX and Blue Origin, it's all complete and total nonsense. The I got a ton of emails from people that are quietly on the fence. They're like, "Oh, look at this, Dave. Look at the James Webb Telescope, right?" And I'm sorry, but if you believe that these images from the James Webb Telescope are real, you've lost your mind. You've absolutely lost your mind, right? Did you see this image that came in the other day from James Webb? You know the story
Yes.
about James Webb?
I don't know the actual stories, but
The,
I'm
the
sure you're
story
going to
was it
tell us.
cost like $1 billion, and then they ran over by like, "Hey, we need another billion." So then they're in it for another billion. Like, we need another 2 billion, and they're like, "Well, we can't quit now." And then it got delayed again. They need another 2 billion, another four. It was $10 billion for a sled. Basically, it just looks like a sled to me. But it's in space. It's parked itself 1 million miles away in a Lagrange point. Now, what's the Lagrange point? Well, the sun has this much gravity, and the Earth has lesser gravity, and they found a point right in between where both gravities will hold it in the perfect position. That's retarded.
I was going to say, it
Okay.
sounds crazy. That sounds
No,
crazy.
it's absolutely limited thinking, right? It's absolute insanity. And you think about it in the heliocentric model, we're getting closer and farther from the sun. We're corkscrewing through space. Other planets are coming whizzing by. None of that makes any sense. And conveniently, it says its sensors, its mirrors are too sensitive to look at anything as bright as the moon or the Earth, so it can never turn around and look at the Earth.
What gets me
Convenient.
is that if we're moving through space, won't we eventually not be anywhere near it or anywhere remotely close to get any
Oh, it's
pictures from it?
mirroring. It's following us. It's mirroring. It's literally orbiting the Earth 1 million miles away, in between the Earth and the sun, held there magically, like two magnets holding another magnet in the middle. Absolute insanity. Absolute insanity. Let
Ru-
me make this picture a little bigger. You
I'm
guys,
going to
did you?
make you bigger. Hold on. I'm going to put you on solo screen. We're going to be back
Yeah.
here asking you the questions, but I'm going to put you
So,
on the solo layout so
so,
people can see
so
it.
let me make this a little bigger. You ready?
Yep.
Oops, it's just a table. It's
That's
not.
just
It's not.
granite with a little light
I mean,
behind it.
it's so stupid. This is the picture they gave us, right? And now the camera, they tell us it takes pictures in like an infrared spectrum. Well, where did they get all these colors from, right? And if you look at this, this is horrible. I can do this in MS Paint in about 20 minutes. I could make this. Okay,
It really is crazy.
and
You
and
see, you
and
see these pictures, and they're just like enhanced from
right.
the previous pictures. Like they've added more colors to it, or they've turned it from 720p to 1080p. It's the same thing.
It's absolute nothingness. This is a nothingness. And it says it focused on a little tiny black spot. How do you focus on a black spot? Okay, from 1 million miles away. And what's it focusing on? And how did it stay there? Because it's moving at over a million miles per hour in 3 different directions. Okay. How is it focusing? Right? They say the telescopes here on Earth, the big ones that do the one that did the deep field shot, the operator had to walk around in socks, so no vibration would happen during the long multi-hour exposure. Is he forgetting that the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour and we're chasing the sun at a 500,000 miles per hour? We're orbiting at 66,000 miles per hour. How is it focusing on a tiny little spot, a black spot in the middle of nowhere? Thought it was the coolest picture ever. Look at that; those are galaxies, and they have billions of stars and trillions of planets, and it used to be the coolest thing ever. But it's all just a friggin' fish story. It's all a big tale.
So what are we really looking at then?
you're looking at an artist rendition of a bunch of speckling. Maybe they took some black paint, that took some colored paint and splattered it, and then like this and a little Photoshop. I mean, you could do this. This is easy. You know what? Maybe on a live stream, I'll make one of these on a live stream one day.
That would be hilarious. And that
This is ridiculous. You know what I did once? I was in arguing with Globers, which I hate doing, these anti-flat earthers. And there was some footage like that's supposedly from a satellite traveling through space. And they're arguing that it's real. We're arguing that it's not real. And I'm like, how do you know you're not being fooled? He's like, because NASA, you know, blah, blah. So I took the deep field picture. It's a high-res picture of all these galaxies. And I put it in my editor and I focused in on the tiniest little square, right? Picture's this big, tiniest little square. And then I used the Ken Burns effect where I just slowly panned out backwards as it got wider and wider and moved across as I was backing out. And then I showed it as a video and I was like, this, yeah. And I said, you know, this is from NASA's website. It's fake. And they argued with me for like an hour. And then I showed them what I did. And then they just shut up and they don't say anything. And then they forget it ever happened. I mean, it's so easy to fake things. Look, this is the James Webb telescope here. Let me switch this. This is separation. Now, this is just over the Earth. Okay. And the camera's glitching out. Okay. It's got to go 1 million miles from here. But think about this. The rocket goes up to the perfect position. It separates from the rocket. Now it's on its own. Okay. I'm going to just go a little forward here. Where is it? There it is. And the camera, look, oh, beautiful Earth curve. Beautiful. So here it is moving away, glitching. And then all of a sudden it's deploying, right? Here comes the telescope lens is coming out. To me, this looks like a Timex watch with a bright light on it. Okay.
It really does.
It does. Right. And so now this thing that it's deployed, they just say, now it's going to go to the Lagrange point. How is it going 1 million miles away? Mirroring the movement of the Earth, spaceship Earth, going to an impossible space, zero. You know, how much resistance is there in space? When I say resistance, like if you walked into a wall, that's resistance. If you were walking through a pool, the water is resistance. If you're outside on a windy day, the wind is resistance. There's no resistance in space, right? If I'm on a boat floating, and I walk across the boat's going to go the other direction. It's going to move, right? There's no resistance. I mean, there's a little bit of resistance, but not much. In space, how's this thing going to get there and park itself? How's it going to stop? Does it have rockets? It's going to go 1 million miles. So if it's going to go, how fast is it traveling to get 1 million miles from Earth? Well, it's already traveling, 20,000 miles an hour just to keep up with the spin of the Earth. It's already traveling 500,000 miles an hour just to keep up with the Earth. It's already traveling in another direction, 66,000 miles an hour just to keep up with the Earth. And now it's going to march out 1 million miles away and park itself and mirror all of those distance, all of those motions. But think about this. If it's just the motion that keeps it following the orbit of the Earth, 66,000, well, out there, it has to make a bigger circle. So it has to actually speed up just to keep up with that, right? Because the little circle out here, this has to travel much farther, okay? It's retarded.
My question would be, how is it getting, on Earth, we would use GPS coordinates or navigation.
You mean the ground positioning system?
Well, something like that. But if there's no satellites where this thing is going to, how does it know exactly where the coordinates are to just go there and stop? You get what I'm trying to say? I mean,
what I'm saying. And even if it did, how does it know to stop? Right?
And how does it stop at 16,000 miles an hour without breaking apart into nothing?
Well, haven't they explained how they're trying to convince us they're doing it? I mean, these are logical questions. Isn't there an operating system on this thing that was supposed to stop, go that far back?
Some crime here on Earth. Security camera 10 feet away, fuzzy, blurry image. Maybe this was the Georgia Guidestones. I don't know. And then this crisp high-res picture, 4.6 billion light years away. Okay. Excuse me. Sorry. No, firemen. I was out with a fireman yesterday, and he says, when we're in an elevator in a building, our radios don't work. We can't communicate with anybody. We're cut off from the world in an elevator, right? In an elevator.
Right.
But no problem talking to the rover on Mars. Okay, no problem. High res pictures coming back.
So when you show these two pictures next to each other, then I see your point. Okay. It does really look suspicious that you can, this is not even clear 10 feet away, 4.6 billion light years away. It would be pinpricks, if anything.
It'd be nothing.
So you are right about that. But
let's talk about what a light year is. Just so people throw around the term light year. Oh, 1 light year, that's really close. Okay. They tell us the sun is 93 million miles away. Okay. You know how many light years that is?
No.
It's 8 light minutes, because it's not a light year. It's only 8 minutes, they tell us, right? Makes sense. It says, they tell us it takes the sun's light 8 minutes to get to us from the sun. Boom. It takes light 8 minutes before our eyes see it. And like, oh, okay. And so the sun's actually 8 minutes from where it was before, whatever. Right. And stars are whatever. Okay. If I doubled so 8 light minutes, if I doubled the distance to the sun, first, if the sun was close to the earth, like a mile over your head, and you looked up, it would fill the whole sky. Follow me on this. Give me some feedback. I hear you. You hear me?
Okay, I'm listening.
We got you. Go ahead.
So if the sun was a mile over your head, you looked up, it would fill the whole sky, horizon to horizon, right? Think of a yoga ball a half an inch above a marble, and you're standing on top of that marble, okay? The whole sky is the sun, right? And then we move the sun 8 light minutes away to its position. It's now the size of a coin held at arm's length, just like we see it. Okay. If I doubled the distance, how much smaller would the sun get? Remember, it went from the whole sky to a coin at arm's length.
It'd be so minuscule you wouldn't be able to see it anymore.
So, okay, so that's like 15 minutes. If I doubled that, so it's now 4 times farther, it's a light half hour. If I doubled that, so it's now 8 times farther, that's a light hour. I'm rounding down, giving the globe heliocentric nonsensical system the benefit. At a light hour, it is clear that we couldn't see it. Now let's times that ridiculous distance by 24. That's a light day. And now let's do that times 365. These numbers are melting your brain. Nobody can fathom what that is. That's a light year, okay? They tell us we can see Polaris at 433 light years away, okay? 433 light years away. That's ridiculous. At a light week away, which would be equivalent to a distance that we couldn't see the sun, because the Polaris is 48 times bigger. So at a light week away, you could not see Polaris, but we see it 433 light years away. What does that tell us? Does that tell us what Polaris is? No, not at all.
Not at all.
Does it tell us what it isn't? Yeah, it isn't a burning ball of gas 433 light years away, 48 times bigger than the sun. Okay, now that we scientifically have proven that information that our entire world is based on is baloney, now you can discount everything else. We never went to the moon. NASA's full of it. All of science is lying about all of this. And what's the reason? The reason is they don't want you to know who you are, where you are, what you are. They don't want you to know that you're at the center of creation, that you're important. They don't want you to know the power of your mind. They want to limit your thoughts. What if your thoughts could create reality? Well, guess what? They can. Everything in your life is because of the way you think. Okay? All right? So what do? Let's limit their thoughts. We'll put them on a ball. That's it. You can't think into the distance, right? You can't think into these far worlds that could be here, right? We don't know what's here. We want the right to go explore. We want to put airships back in the sky like they used to be, okay? And let's keep them in fear. False evidence appearing real. Let's pretend that there's nuclear bomb threats coming from Russia. Keep everyone scared. Nuclear bombs don't exist, okay? Everything that you're afraid of is a lie, and that's how they control you.
You know, and this is something that we on this channel specifically strive for, is to show everybody. Let's bring us all back real quick, to show everybody that there is something else besides these narratives, and there is this ability to shake off that we're not important, we're not the key to everything, and it all comes with an internalization. One of the things that we've been studying is Tartaria, and I know in the back you said you had some thoughts on that. And the maps that we find on Tartaria shows the Antarctic ice wall, and then from that point on, there are continents further back. And if we look at people like Admiral Byrd, who supposedly went past it, tell us your thoughts on what you think, how this flat Earth connection to Tartaria goes into what you're talking about now.
When you look at the stuff you look at in Tartaria, there's a lot of buried stuff. So you guys are aware there was some sort of mud flood, whatever it was, right?
Yes.
Okay. Was it a worldwide mud flood? I don't know. Maybe at the same time. Maybe it came in sections. Who knows? It's really hard to flood a ball floating in a space vacuum because that's scientifically impossible. You can have air pressure next to a vacuum of space, and then you can just say, well, gravity holds everything on. That's nonsense. It's actually made up, complete and total nonsense. So a mud flood could only happen on a flat Earth, right? So our world is like a pond, and Antarctica is the shoreline of our pond. If you're on a pond, if you sail to the edge of the pond, that's Antarctica. You don't fall off the Earth, you step up on Antarctica. What's beyond there? Well, on a small pond, small model, walk a couple miles, maybe you'll find another pond with more islands, more continents. Okay? I think that the world is filled, the Earth plate. This is my opinion. We don't have any proof of it. There's a lot of evidence, a lot of supporting evidence, and a lot of interesting stories from the past. I think that there's massive worlds beyond here. And I believe, and my theory is that they're connected by tunnels because that's the way to travel. You don't want to travel by sea because that could be rough weather. And then you hit land and ice, and you don't want to travel by air because that's also weather and in the darkness navigation. What if there was tunnels connecting all of these worlds? Right? What if there was tunnels? Good.
Well, I'm interested in that idea. Do you think that we're connected by tunnels? So these are all the lands you're talking about beyond the ice wall, right? And then even beyond, where they say there's something like 158 new continents that we don't even know about.
You're talking about this guy, right?
Yeah, I love that map. My favorite map in the world.
It is. It actually is pretty cool. Let me just bring it up here so I can zoom in. And for those of you that don't know, so if we go here, like we live like here, this like might be our puddle. So this ring inside our puddle, that's Antarctica. And there's more land out here within let's call this our extended puddle with extra land. With me? Am I frozen?
No, I hear you. I'm fixated on the map.
All right, I'm like, I have a lag on myself, but there, and the distance between these puddles is tens of thousands of miles. Like this distance here is like, I don't know, 50,000 miles. Who knows what it is? I don't know. You can kind of figure it out by measuring the United States, and so this is massive. And so people say, well, can we see them? Well, maybe we do see the lights from them, maybe, but I don't think so. You can't see 100 miles. 100 miles, everything just shuts down. Everything comes together into perspective. So I have a theory that, you guys have looked into the orphan trains, right?
Oh, yes. Yes, very much so.
So I think that this world we live in has it's more advanced. Like, let's say the outer puddles around us. This is just me theorizing, by the way. I'm not speaking for anybody else, and I'm not saying any of this is true. This is just a scientific possibility versus impossible aliens from outer space. So everything I'm speculating on is actually possible versus aliens coming from light years away and crashing in Roswell. That's impossible. Okay? Impossible. So the my theory is that and this comes from David Avocado Wolf. He talks about how the Earth has a immune system, and it gives you what you need. It gives you water when you need water, and it gives you food when you need food, and it restocks the ocean with fish. Fish fall from the sky sometimes and restock areas. Like, where are these fish coming from? Well, they came from a a tornado pulled up just that type of fish and moved them over here. I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. And maybe after a reset, well, this world needs to be reseeded. And so these outer lands, just a theory, couples, families, whatever, souls, angelic, higher vibrating people, they bring forth a soul and will send the babies in for their adventure in this training grounds that we live in, right? And they put them on trains and they come in on trains. I mean, there's like in New York City, Penn Station, Grand Central Station, there's tunnels that they don't use. Like, what did they dig these tunnels in the 1900s and then forget about them? Like, what are these tunnels? There's tunnels everywhere. So I look at it as, you know, maybe this whole thing is connected by tunnels just crisscrossing, just like Disneyland, right? All of their theme parks are connected by tunnels. Everything happens underground. Oh, we need more popcorn over here, whoosh, underground, right? We need more goldfish over here. We need this, we need that. Everything's done underground. Bam.
So
that's a whole reseeding thing.
So do you think, and I think it could be really true, actually, if you're talking about vast distances, 10,000, miles between each of those continents. And I've seen photos. Now, Rob and I found a video that was pretty interesting. It was someone quoting from the Encyclopedia Britannica from 1958. And
the Encyclopedia Americana about Antarctica. About the dome at 85 degrees north. Okay. Yeah, at 13,000 feet. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, and the stories about the hearsay witnesses that work down in Antarctica about sky ice, blue ice that does it's so cold they can't, and it evaporates. It doesn't melt. All fascinating stuff. But again, I like speculating because these are possible. But to say, well, maybe there's people on Mars, that's not possible because Mars isn't even terra firma. And we can prove it, right? We look up at the sky and we see Mars and Saturn and Jupiter and Venus all in the sky at the same time. We see them. They're the brightest lights in the sky. They used to be called wandering stars. How the heck does a distant, dusty, dirty ball or Jupiter, a gaseous, non-reflective ball, take the sunlight, which is a tiny sun because it's farther away. It's much smaller than we see our sun because it's millions of miles farther. That little sun reflects off of that non-reflective gaseous surface all the way back to Earth, and we see it brighter than any star in the sky. I just proved to you that the story of reflecting sunlight off of these planets is nonsense. Therefore, we never went to the moon. NASA's not a space agency. You're being lied to about everything. And until people wake up, get their heads out of their asses, stop being afraid to talk about it. And I know I'm talking to there's a lot of people, big, important people with lots of influence that know the truth, but they don't want to ruin their little nest egg that they have going. They don't want to ruin their little endorsement deal. Okay. Everyone needs to, these evil cabal are taking over the world right now. They're trying to reset it, right? And we can stop them if we just say stop. But people are lost. People don't know.
I like to think that there's there's two sides to that coin too, and the fact that the people who want to wake up and are yearning for more information seek it, and then there's the woefully ignorant who don't want to look because of what they might find. And of course, the brainwashing is it's incredible. It's a stimulus that comes from every aspect of life that sinks into your subconscious and it ruins the way you think. And I love the exploration of this, and I love that map that you have there too. And if we're looking at what you said before with the sun, if we get to Saturn, you're not going to see the sun. Well, that's it. It's over.
Well, it's going to be tiny, right? It's gonna get small, and they NASA shows us this is what it would look like from these planets, and it's like a little tiny star. How does that little star or large star light up and then bounce back? Because you use their math, actual math, the inverse square law of light. They would have to be way brighter than we see it for it to be as bright as we see it from here. Light diminishes. Light spreads out. It gets thinner and thinner and thinner. So it gets duller and duller and duller until you can't see it anymore. Right? I have a video of the sun fading out right in the sky because it got too far away and it couldn't through push through the atmosphere.
So, Dave, can I ask a few questions about the origin of this for a minute? Because, I'm always very interested. I believe, just like you do, people have to know who they are, and they really need to know about the world around them and the truth. And that's kind of what drives me. So, a few hundred years, they used to talk about the world as flat. All the old books talk about the world as flat, and they talk about ether.
More recently than you realize.
Not so long ago, until they literally made it a crime to say that we were the center of the universe. So is that when you think this happened? Was the earth considered flat and then suddenly changed specifically? And why at that time is that? And does it have to do with Tartaria? And why that's such a big thing to that's huge to either say we're a flat earth or a round earth. The implications of this are boggling my mind.
Have you seen The Next Level, the movie I was in recently by Hibbler Productions? The Next Level 2022.com. Get yourself a high definition copy. It's amazing. But if you I interviewed this woman named Ruth, 102 years old, totally had her senses about the World's Fairs. I was interviewing because she had been to the New York World's Fairs and she was telling me about the lights and how it was all lit up and she had never seen lights like that. And it was amazing. And her memory was so good. I asked her where she went to grade school and she told me. I said, what did they teach you in science class there? And she said, they taught me the earth was flat. And I'm like, what? And I quickly took it out, interviewed her, took my camera out, interviewed her. And she was so thrilled when I told her. She's like, I've always known. And she broke down in tears. Okay. That's in the 1920s. But then we found people, after that, we found a Croatian lady who said in the 1930s, they were teaching it all over Croatia. And then I found a guy in Mexico that said in the 1950s, I think in Canada or Northern America, Northern United States, he was taught globe and flat earth in public school because they didn't know. Right. But then all of a sudden, the Rockefellers.
So much?
What's that?
Why are they trying to confuse us so much, Dave?
Because if you're confused, out of balance, spinning out of control, lost in space, then you have no power. You give up your power and you say, government, please take care of me. Right. And then you believe nonsense. I mean, I'm coming to the point right now where the infrastructure of the things that we call Tartaria, whatever you want to call it, the worldwide amazing kingdoms. Think about this. Do you guys believe there's a creator? That we were created, or did we come from from an amoeba that had sex and became a monkey that became a human?
No, I believe in the creator.
Okay,
sure.
so let's say you're a creator, you create this amazing realm. Okay? Amazing realm. Amazing, beautiful oceans, everything. And then you throw a man down in there and you say, I hope you figure out free energy and how to make cars and planes, over the next thousands of years or whatever, or hundreds of years or whatever. Or did he throw down some infrastructure? Okay. I think he threw down some infrastructure, if you ask me. I think the creator created some of these things that we, inherited, right? I was watching Autodidactic in Tartaria, Australia, I think it was them. And they talked about, I think it was Melbourne. Was it Melbourne or maybe it was California? I'm not sure. And they said the gold rush only makes sense if they had the infrastructure to have things to trade. Like if everyone had gold and nothing else, well, what good is it? But they came in after the reset, reoccupied these cities. Now everything's there. Now they just need a means of exchange. And that's what the gold rush was about, right? Like I got a building, or I got horses, I got this, I got that, I got all this stuff. It's all that infrastructure was there from the reset. But where did it come from in the first place? I don't know. Just the theory I have.
When you're saying all this, it makes me think of a Native American myth of creation. And it goes back to there was a place where they started that was a place of no need or no want. It was all just there. And that's going back to what you talked about as the earth or this reality supplying for us what we need. And then they rip out a tree and create a hole, which would be the tunnels of wherever they came from to this time and space right here on this part of the planet. And then they seeded life from that point forth by using, the animals and things like that. But it's a stunning representation of what some of those ancient stories and what we're talking about now and the correlation between the two. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating.
You caught my attention, Dave, when you said that, so that some people, maybe, families, that they're growing to reseed our side of the planet after this reset. And I'm now wondering, because I've been looking at the timelines, and they say that, we're only a few hundred years old, possibly.
Yeah.
And you're saying maybe the creator created Tartaria for us, and then, they brought us into this time.
And maybe there's been multiple resets since then. And, to me, that makes sense. But again, I don't want to upset the biblical people. No, Adam and Eve, this and that. Go ahead. Figure it out. Figure it out yourself. This is just something that I'm considering, right? If you're going to create the earth, how hard would it be to create a castle on that earth? I mean, like, come on.
Heaven on earth. Why not?
Right.
Why not create it beautiful? So the last reset, they did it really beautiful. Tartaria is exquisite. The buildings, the architecture, the people.
Right. And when you look in the giants, I mean, there's no question. Giants are not a theory anymore. Giants were real. They may still be here. Like there's all sorts of stuff. But when you understand that everything we're told is a lie, like the giant trees. I was watching a video the other day. What's the guy's name? He does these 10-hour videos.
Erewhon?
And he climbs up the mountain with his dog. It's not John Levy, it's the other guy. And he said, like, this is the branch from a tree, and across the valley, there's the base of the tree. It's like 50 miles in diameter, And he showed a tree the other day where a branch, which was this massive rock system, and it was rock, but then on one side, he could break it off, and it was wood. There was wood inside, right? So something turned these trees into rocks. I mean, there's no doubt. And so what was this world? And then I threw it out there talking to Stellium 7. I don't know if you know who he is. And he's about Titans. And he said, maybe the earth is a Titan. Okay. And that's where I just stop. Not going down that rabbit hole because it's probably endless. It's endless. Here's the thing. And so many of us researchers, we make the mistake. We're like, this is what it is. This is what it is. We don't know. We can prove what it's not. That's easy. We're not a spinning ball floating in space with air adjacent to a vacuum. Provable. The stars that we see are not the sizes and distances that they're telling us. Provable. That doesn't tell us what they are. Okay? Globers will say, in the south, the stars go clockwise, and here they go counterclockwise. Well, that's because you turned around, right? Well, in these 3 different locations, I can see the same thing. You don't know where you're looking, and 2, you don't know what those southern stars are. I think the southern stars are a reflection of the northern stars, and they're rotating all over the freaking place, okay? But until somebody can prove how far they are, that they're physical, then the motion of the lights in the sky have no correlation to the ground that we stand on, right? None.
And they'd have to prove that the sun isn't real either then.
Well, when you say not real, it's real. It burns, it's hot. Man, was it hot. And it's right there, though. It's close by. It's close by. And it's clear that it's close by. And the moon, it's probably in the night sky for everybody now. But during the last week, you can look at the moon on a clear day and you can see there's solid blue sky behind it. How did that moon pop into our view, appearing to be not much higher than the friggin' clouds, and have blue sky behind it? Okay, you want to know what the moon is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so do I. Okay. And anyone that tells you that they know, okay, anyone that tells you that they know is jumping to conclusions. Like the whole,
there's many inconsistencies.
Right, the whole moon map, the reflection. Everyone's like, the moon is a reflection, a photo of the Earth. How do you know that the moon isn't projecting the land masses here. We don't know anything other than we never went there because it's not a physical place, right? People say, well, how we see the same side of the moon, and if it was flat, it would look oblong, as it moves away and whatnot. And that's not true at all, because again, the optics of the sky don't prove anything. This guy is facing that way, but his body is facing us. So what if his belly was the moon? We're over here. It's facing us. And as we move over, it turns with us, and he's not turning. What if that's how we're seeing the moon?
That's a wild thought. So, your best guesstimation, because I know nobody knows the answer. When we look up at the night sky and we see those balls of light or whatever they are, what are we looking at?
We know that we're not looking at what they tell us because we can scientifically prove it. But the problem is people weren't taught to actually think and use the basic math that makes us good, accounting slaves. We can use that math and prove that it's not visible. Your eyes have an angular resolution limit when something is smaller than 0.02 degrees. So 180 degrees is from left to right. And if you get all the way down to 0.2 of a degree, 0.02, whatever that is, 0.02, your eye can't resolve it. It's too small. Like I could hold a human hair out here, and maybe you can't see it because it's too small. It's still there. It's too small for your eye to resolve. You can zoom in, make it bigger, and then you can see it, just like boats over the horizon. Okay, when boats go over the horizon, it's because they're not going over the horizon. They're too small. So the horizon is where the sky meets the ground, right here. And as I zoom in, I make it bigger, and I'm seeing farther. And all of a sudden, I look. Oh, look! There's a boat there. Okay, not because it's over the curve of the Earth. It's just compressing into the horizon. It looks like it's disappearing from the bottom up, which it is a little bit because these little lines in the foreground, little waves in the foreground, they're big. Like you can take your finger and block out an entire city skyline 20, 30 miles away with your finger. Okay? Everything compresses into the horizon. And people think it's going over the curve. And the people go, well, how come you can't zoom the sun in? Because it's on another layer. Let's talk about that. Talk about that?
Let's talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So the sun sets because it's moving away. All right. This is this is actually showing the lens. This is a lens, like our atmosphere is a lens, and this thing, it looks like it's going down, but it's not.
It's really moving away from it.
Yeah,
so it looks like it's going south.
It's moving away, and it looks like it's going down, right? As it's coming closer, he's just sliding across the table here, and it looks like it's rising, just like we see the friggin' sun, right? So the sun is just going away. It's going away, and it looks like it's going down. It's not. Imagine yourself on a big street with tall street lights. Boom, big row of them. They're all lined up beautifully, well engineered. The one directly above you is your noon sun. The one a half a mile down the road is at your eye level. You're looking at it. It's right there. One over your head's up there, but the one down there, which is the same height, is at your eye level. It's at your eye level. You know it's at the same height, but perspective has brought it down. And the one a mile away, you can't see it because it's merged into the horizon already. It's gone. Now, if you were standing under that one, you're in another time zone. And you look up, hey, that's my noon sun. I'm like, well, it's early morning here because the sun hasn't come this way yet. And that's why we see the sun go up and down during the day. It's just perspective. Okay. So why can't we zoom it back in? Because all of this becomes opaque. So think of a long hallway, right? Long hallway, like I was in Vegas, one of those long hallways. At the far end of the hallway, the lights look like they're touching the floor because it just goes together, right? It just gets smaller and smaller. So let's take 3 long sheets of paper. The bottom one is the ground. The middle one, I call that the atmospheric deck, like the cloud deck, the atmospheric density. It's really you look through it. When you're looking up, you look right through it. But when you're looking into the distance, you're looking across it all, and it gets thick. And then the one above that is the sky. Okay, so we have an atmospheric deck. So in between the ground layer and the atmospheric deck, all the things on the ground are terrestrial objects, boats, people, buildings, terrestrial objects. The sun and the moon are celestial objects. They're above this middle sheet. So now you got these 3 sheets parallel with each other. You're looking at them in Muppet vision across. So you see it. They're all, I can see they're all the same width apart. It looks beautiful. It looks like a birthday cake, sideways birthday cake. But then if you go to one end and look down, you get down between the bottom sheet and the top sheet, you're gonna see it like this. It's gonna come together, right? It's gonna come together, and a certain distance you're not even gonna be able to see anymore because it came together. So it came together, and as I showed you, if you zoomed in, whoop, you can see that boat. You can see that terrestrial object. Everybody with me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Now the celestial object is above it. Think of a day where you have cumulus clouds, like cotton balls, all spread out. Blue sky, cumulus clouds, and they're all sitting there on that deck. When you look up, the sky's 90%, 95% blue sky with just some little puffy clouds. But when you look into the distance, all of those clouds get closer and closer together because you're looking at them at an angle. And then when they get down to eye level, you're looking at all of the clouds together. It becomes opaque. Okay. So the sun is just above that, and the sun just goes away, and it's above that opaque layer. So you're underneath that. You can't zoom in because it's already behind an opaque layer.
That's
with
wild. Me? Of course, yeah.
And so that's how it works. So you got celestial objects, terrestrial objects. You have the 3 layers merging together, right? So let me show you. You guys see my flat Earth kitchen? Most people have, but maybe you haven't. So this is my kitchen, my flat Earth counter. It's here in the dark. And this line here, I've shown that it is level, and I'm moving this sun across the line. Right here, this could be mountains, city skyline, or it could be the atmospheric deck of opacity that I just talked about, the middle layer. And the sun is just going in a straight line across it, never going below it. Now I'm up at a celestial point of view, but I have a terrestrial camera on the other end of this table watching the same thing. And now I'm watching it. And if I showed you this first, I would say, is this line level? And you would say, no. And I'd say, is this sun going below this opaque object? And you'd be like, yeah. Now let's zoom in a little farther. Let's bring it a little closer. Is this line level? Absolutely not. It's almost going straight down. This is a level line. And this sun is not going lower than this. This is perspective. Here's a real sunset. The sun went down, and look what it's going behind. The atmospheric deck of opacity. Right there.
Wow. It is perspective. It definitely is perspective.
It's
and I
all
see that.
perspective. It's all perspective. Matter of fact, today on the app, there's a video called It's All Perspective, I think.
Oh, that's wild. That's wild. And that's the other thing I wanted to talk about before we finish up today is that you've spent time and money to produce experiments to prove this fact. This being, of course, one of them. Now, how much time and money was involved in that, I'm not sure, but you've done a lot of different things.
That was nothing. That was me and my cat. We did.
Tell us about some of the experiments that you've done to prove this and how you proved it.
Well, I mean, when I say we, our flat Earth community as a whole, they've done all sorts of experiments. They went to a frozen lake in like Balaton in I don't know, I forget where it was, somewhere, some other country, and they did laser tests across it in the freezing cold, and we could see these lasers. We've done tons of these tests. And here's the thing: don't believe anyone just telling you the Earth is flat. Let me show you. Oops.
We've got a tremendous community on that app too. It's up to 7. Last time I saw it, it was at 70,000. It's probably more now.
No, it's 60. It's 60. It's almost 66,600.
That's amazing.
66,440. Soon I'll be an Illuminati shill when it's 66,600.
Oh God! Don't say that. Don't say
that. Yeah, it's growing. The community is growing, and there's some major updates coming to the app. I'll tell you about that at the end. But if you just look at the Earth, I mean, look, this is Europe. London. I mean, UK.
And these are all people that are invested in the flat Earth and what it means to them, and they're connecting with each other.
Right, and you can tap on a dot, and you could message somebody. And I'm adding a new messenger service. It's basically iMessage met Telegram and had a baby, and it's on the app. Okay, right now I just have a basic text message. This one will do everything, including group video calls if you want. It does everything, and that's being added to the app in 2 weeks.
Imagine the amount of information that's going to be shared via just your app alone, and that within itself is commendable 100%, because it doesn't just start. It doesn't just have to be flat Earth. You guys can literally talk about anything and everything, and have group community chats and video chats. That is huge.
We have the Tartaria mud flood button. And this is for, you guys are well researched, but you might find some stuff in here that you didn't, like, oh, I didn't know about that channel. Subscribe to that channel. Guess what this app will do to you? This app will eat up your entire life and time, because there's going to be so much stuff that there will not be time to research all of it, but it's going to give you a smorgasbord. I remember most of my life in the evenings was, what am I going to watch on TV? And just sit there like this. Right? What am I going to watch on TV? What stupid thing am I going to watch on TV? Now it's like, oh my God, I need to watch these 10 things, but I can only watch 2 of them. Which one's it going to be? Hey, maybe I can watch 2 things at the same time. And I do that sometimes.
I do too.
Of course I do.
I think we all do that.
And I listen to them on double speed. Okay.
Yep.
For those of you that are Owen Benjamin fans, yesterday's this is live right now. Yesterday's show was the most epic rant he has ever done in his entire life. Funniest thing ever. And you have to be a humorous person. So I recommend anybody following Owen on his show on July 13th. Hysterical. Funniest thing ever. Rockets are balloons. That one will ruin your childhood. Okay. Biblical flat earth. Tons of stuff there. Now, if you're a Bible believer or a Bible hater, watch that. It's amazing, truly amazing stuff. And you know what? Know what else? People have short attention span. People are lazy. Okay, my YouTube channel DITRH is all short videos. Usually nothing's over 5 minutes. My videos are really short, because I know that you can't get to somebody that hates flat Earth to watch an 1.5-hour movie.
Right.
But you say, hey, listen to this 2 minute. It's like giving somebody a little free sample of crack. Here's a little crack. Here's a little more. Right? Now they want the whole thing. But TikTok, these are 2 channels. I'm going to feature a 3rd channel soon. These 2 guys are killing it. And so you go on there. I think just by clicking that and having somebody watch 5 or 10 of their videos, their globe is popped. It's over.
That's incredible. I'm actually doing production on smaller videos here as well, narrated smaller videos like that to catch more attention. But TikTok is a huge platform that can be utilized too. And I've seen those guys on TikTok, and they are exceptional. And they break it really down in 1 minute to 3 minutes. I mean, you're talking about really short videos.
Fantastic. And because it gets to the point, there's stuff, like I've seen some people do a 20-minute video. I'm like, you could have done that in 2 minutes. But personally, myself, I love the longer stuff now. I just don't have time to watch a lot of it. Flat Earth Man, kids books, unbelievable. The 5th book is coming out. Maybe it's already out. I got to check. Great. If you're a book reader, these are the books. The Iron Republic. Here's one. You like that map? Have you read The Navigator Who Crossed the Ice Wall?
Yep.
Great book.
You read it?
I did. And the one
I'm
about
working on it right now. She shared it with me. I'm working on it right now. It's
the
incredible.
navigator's daughter who crossed the ice walls, and she was born over there. It's quite compelling.
What book is that? Is that the same book?
No, it's a different book.
By the same author?
I'll tell you exactly what it is right now. I think it's called Beyond the Ice Wall.
Beyond the Ice Wall. Mm-hmm.
I have that.
Really interesting book.
Worlds Beyond the Poles, the Iron Republic. For those of you that don't read, the Iron Republic's a great one. John the Morgile. Just look up his channel, John the Morgile, and look up Iron Republic, and it'll come right up. He read the whole thing. He did a great job, 5.5 hours. So if you got a long drive, like on your way to Flattoberfest in October 21st in South Carolina, going to be the greatest meetup conference in history. I highly recommend everyone go. Throw on that and half, it depends on how far you're driving. For me, it'd be half my drive. Half my drive. I just listen to something, half the drive is over. Fantastic.
That's incredible. I mean, you
Yeah.
guys, and that's the other part that comes along with this specific topic is it's a community, and there's community outreach, and you guys really do collaborate a lot with information. So it ends up taking you to a completely different level because one of the things we also pride ourselves on here is getting every bit of explanation we can from anybody and everybody because we don't know anything for sure. So let's evaluate all of it and let's just take what we want out of each of it and create the narratives that we believe to be true. Again, it's not confirmed, but it gives us something more to look at when we're internalizing all this information and what resonates with us. And that's you've truly done that, David. And I just want to commend you and applaud you because you've really brought together a tremendous group of people who are all researchers. This is not just a for the faint heart or the fly by night person. This is an in depth, true community, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
Dave, can I ask you? There was a great comment, by the way, Rob. But when did you suddenly go, aha? Because I knew that you were not a flat Earth believer, but then suddenly, what? For everyone out there, what was your aha moment?
So everyone's heard the story, but not everybody. So I was doing a conspiracy podcast at a comedy club. It's based at a comedy club. It was, I guess you could say it's comedy, but it was real conspiracy analysts. And then the third man turned everything into a fart joke. So it was funny. We fought each other. Literally, we almost killed each other sometimes. And it was a very, very, very popular podcast out of New York City. And people in the third year started sending me, hey, have you looked at the flat Earth? And first I thought it was a joke. Then it kept on coming, posting, hey, watch this video. Just watch this video. I'm not watching a 2-minute video. You're stupid. Banned for life. You're banned for life. Right. I don't need you watching my podcast. And then I was talking with Sophia Smallstorm, who is an amazing researcher. She did 9/11 mysteries, somebody unraveling Sandy Hook in 2, 3, 4, and 5 dimensions. That's all we'll say about that. And her videos all that can be found on stoplookthink.com, by the way. And she said to me, I said, so Sophia, there's so much deception in this world. It's amazing. She goes, oh, David, it's worse than that. I think the Earth might be flat. And I flipped out. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? She sent me a couple of videos. Now, you don't just believe videos. It was Mark Sargent's Clues. And I believe Eric DeBay's 200 Proofs. And I'm like, interesting. And then I was like, let me see what else. Then in YouTube, bam, lined me up. Watch this, look at this, look at this, look at this. Amazing stuff. You can't get that now, right? So YouTube's algorithm, is that the word? YouTube's algorithm fed me tons of stuff. And then I was like, okay, if the Earth is a ball, there has to be physical curvature, right? If the Earth is a ball, you go over the ball, and that's physical curvature. Physical curvature right here. And they kept showing me these boats over the horizon. And so I went out, bought a Nikon P900 that had just come out and a tripod. And I zoomed in on stuff that I shouldn't be able to see. And so well, something's wrong. Maybe the calculator's wrong. And so I went on to some troll, flat Earth trolling sites, anti-flat Earth sites. And I believe it was Mick West. And he goes, oh no, the curvature formula, if you want to view something that's here, you don't say it's that far over the curve. You're here, it's there. So it's a hump that's only half that distance. Now, again, I'll bring back the word retarded. That's retarded, but I'll give it to him. Okay. So I was looking at a buoy that was 10 miles away, just over 10 miles. So we'll call it 10 miles. There should be 66 feet of curvature. Let's cut that in half, which is just a lie. 33 feet of curvature. I'm sitting at the water's edge. I can still see it. It should be behind 33 feet of curvature.
That math it never adds up. It never adds up. And they use these equations that are ridiculous.
They want you to believe that nothing can go over the curve, that things go over the curve, but the Earth is too big to see the curve, no matter how high you get. Oh, we see it in an airplane. No, we don't. We proved it. Oh, you see it in a jet fighter at 70,000 feet. Nope, we went to 127,000 feet. Well, Felix Baumgartner saw it from his Red Bull jump. Nope, that was a fisheye lens. they keep moving the globe post. They keep responding to us, right? We do something, and they just move the globe post again. And here's why they get away with it. People are lazy. People don't know how to think. People know how to memorize and regurgitate. And that's how they got us. And then they've got us fluoridated and the vaccinated and everything else. And they're GMO'd and paycheck to paycheck and and worried and scared and that's how they do it. And it's about control. They don't want us to know our history. They don't want us to know our future. They want to create our future. They want us to create their future. Well, I'm creating them, not being involved in my future.
Very much so. And
I appreciate it so much. I appreciate this so much because it's giving me more possibilities. As I'm diving into Tartaria, into the history, into all of these. I don't call them conspiracies; they're coincidences that seem to be real. But I wasn't so worried about how the mechanics of flat Earth, but just the why and the meaning of it. And it is very bad to think that we are the center of the universe. Then that's a huge, huge thing to deal with. Also,
so here's in the app. You hit the question mark, the frequently asked questions button, and you go down to right here. Why the lie? Click that guy. And up comes a playlist of videos that YouTube will not show you. Watch these videos, and you're done. You're finished. It's over. Okay, it's over. Your globe is dead.
And you know everything. Okay.
And we'll never know everything. We know that we don't know. We know that there's so many things that we don't know. Globers think they know it all, and they know nothing. Right? I mean, the basics. You can't have a ball of water. I heard Dell from Beyond the Curve said, if I gave you some water, I gave you a gallon of water and a rock and a vacuum chamber, could you make the rock float and water surround it? And the guy's like, no, right? I mean, no. Like water boils in a vacuum. Okay, people believe in space. What happens when you have let's say you have a balloon or a Ziploc, halfway filled with air, so it's loosely filled with air, and then you bring it up to altitude, it expands and it pops, right?
Right. That's what we believe.
Why don't astronauts' spacesuits pop? They got pressure. They got their pressure air in there. How come when they go up, they don't explode like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and Ghostbusters?
That's a damn good question. It's the same concept. It's literally the same concept.
But people just ignore it. And then they show these. Maybe I have a picture of it. They show the spacesuits that they have with the big backpack. It's a battery. It's a water. It's air conditioning. It's heating because in the sun, they it's like 200, 300 degrees, and in the shade, it's 200 below zero, right? But these guys are wearing friggin' snowboard suits with friggin' boots. Look at these boots. What's going on there? Okay, right?
They look like Uggs.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And then look, he's got a zipper. You know why? Because when they were filming this stuff, occasionally these guys had to pee. But how do you have how do you have a zipper? Right?
Air's going to leak out of that zipper, regardless of it doesn't. It's not a complete seal on the suit, so air will leak out of that zipper, regardless.
Right.
Because the pressure that would be behind it of air being pumped into a suit like that, it will escape, and that doesn't work for space. It doesn't work because in the vacuum you'll be exposed to the supposed vacuum of space, and then there you go.
Yeah, and this glove, try putting that glove on and doing anything. Okay. You're not going to do anything with that glove on, right?
It's got all that grip. It looks good, but it's not practical in any way, shape, or form.
And so I can't find the picture right now, but the spacesuit with the air conditioner cooling on it. I would like to see an astronaut put them out in Southern California in the middle of the summer when it's 100+ degrees, Death Valley, and it's just 120. Leave them out there for a couple hours. dead.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
over. He's dead. Okay?
Dehydration will set in about 20 minutes, and they'll be
Well,
no
no,
longer.
he's in the suit. He should be fine because those guys didn't even sweat, right? Didn't even sweat.
Well, that's the other thing about it too, is that, we talk about where the sun is in comparison to a lot of different things, and when you get into space, it's supposedly so cold, but yet you're still in that reflection of the sun, and that light has to pass through that space to get to Earth. So how is it that cold, right? To me, that's another logical fallacy that we see, and there's a lot out there, Dave, and I want to bring you back on again. We're just about over the hour now, and this has been an incredible amount of information, and I definitely want to bring it back. We're going to do a part 2 to this and go in deeper, really get to the finite details of all that you have to offer. That is, Flat Earth Dave, and I appreciate you, brother. And this has just been eye-opening for sure.
So anybody that has a problem with this, it's because something inside of you isn't letting you see. And your soul is screaming at your conscious brain saying, listen to me. But your conscious brain is too lost in the fear and the news and the nonsense, right? Let it all go. Flat earthers are happier, right? Flat earthers aren't depressed. Like, depression is because your soul knows the truth and your conscious mind doesn't know the truth. And you're fighting, and something's wrong with the world. Look at Neo at the beginning of the Matrix. He's depressed. He doesn't know what the world is. Then he gets unplugged from the Matrix, the heliocentric system, and he sees the world for what it is, and it doesn't matter what it is. He sees it for what it is, and he knows his place in it. And then look at the two of them at the beginning, Neo at the beginning and Neo at the end. One of them's depressed, weak, nothing, and the other one took his power back, took his manifestation back.
That's so true. It's so
FlatEarthDave.com. Everything can be find there. If you want to book me, if you have a show, tell me what your show is. Tell me what you have in mind. We can start the conversation. If you have any issues with the app, there's a support button. There's also a support button in your app. There's a contact button. If you have any suggestions, like, hey, a great video to feature on the app, send it. I'll check it out. Give me a little synopsis, because if you send me a link with no description and it's a long video, I just don't have time to watch it. So there's all the stuff there. Take the crash course. Get the app. The app's $3. And the messaging, if you want to be able to message or look at profiles, because people are now using it as a dating app, because honestly, flat earthers aren't interested in ball earthers, right? Although a ball earther can convert to a flat earther, but flat earthers will never convert back to the ball. So the ball earthers are in the bad seat. We're in the good seat, because everyone in the world is an option for us. But globers, everyone that's a flat earther is not an option for them. It's not an option.
That's
right?
wild.
That's the
wild.
truth.
You're making lifelong connections. That's what you're doing. But go ahead,
Yeah.
Dr. Joan. Final
Now
words,
I'm really
Dr.
going
Joan.
to check it out. All right. I'm really going to check it out for sure.
The app, the if you want to send messages or use profiles or use the Dark Sky Weather app, which is included, it's $11 a year. Okay, big deal. But right now, everyone's happy with it. But next week or two weeks, when the new messaging system comes on, it's going to be off the hook. I'm trying to even get it where you can like video call with somebody while you're looking at the app, and so their picture would be right here, and it could move it around, like, and you could like conference with somebody while you're talking to somebody in real life or whatever. I don't know. I'm working out the details. It's incredible what it can do. So we'll see.
That's it. We'll see. Dr. Joan, any last words before we shut down today?
Well, I love it. You woke up. Someone woke you up. You woke up. Now you're waking up the world. And I think that's exactly the right thing to be doing. We're waking up and waking up the world as well, too, to what's going on. So I just really appreciate your perspective. I'm going to dive into your app for sure.
Well, the app, listen, most things that are on the app, they're on the web. You just can't find them, right? And so, if you spent, I don't know, 24 hours straight searching for flat earth stuff, you might find in 10 minutes, an hour worth of good stuff, maybe, right? So if your 24 hours isn't worth $3 forever, you have it forever, right? And you don't have to do the subscription, but the subscription helps me. So, and it helps pay for, the subscription helps pay for the cost of the server costs on the app are going through the roof, but that's okay, because the more people, the better, right? We want everyone on this, and we want to wake up the world. And, you know, this is, in my opinion, one of the best tools for doing that since everything else is hidden.
Love it.
I love
I
it.
love
I
it. And
appreciate that.
it's amazing. And here's what we've done today, and that's we've gone over a lot of your information, and we're just telling everybody out there to question everything. We're not telling you what to believe, what is, what isn't. None of it. Reality is basically a suggestion, 9 times out of 10. And look at all the information that's out there to give each other the best chance at what knowing is. We're going to internalize everything, and again, you know, what the information was laid today is very compelling. It's very much. There's a lot of things on the table that need to be explored even further, and that's why we're going to have Dave come back again. But this has been an incredible time. As you can see, Dave's got T-shirts down there.
Good stuff. Like it's great to start the conversation. You know, you have it, people go, flat Earth, boom, now the conversation started. You always got to wait. You can't force flat Earth on people. They have to ask, right? They have to
That's like
ask.
that
That's
with
the best.
everything nowadays.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to the truth community, it really is, because a lot of people, when we start to talk to people about things, it's, you know, they have to question it first, and that's why, you know, I kind of at the end of every episode say, you know what, question everything. We are the forever students. We're going to keep learning, no matter what it is, whether you believe flat Earth or don't believe flat Earth. Still question everything. This, you know, I had put a poll out to ask if people wanted to see flat Earth, and it was yes, no, or depends on the expert coming in. And I want to say, David, you have given us so much information. I definitely qualify you as a flat Earth expert. And you know, we're going to do this again soon, and this has just been incredible. So I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank you again, Dave, Dr. Joan, everybody here. This has just been eye-opening. And
the biggest way you can support me, but you know, support yourself, get the app. You know, that helps. If you know of other shows, if you have contacts with other shows, get them interested. Throw my name out there. Email, send me a link. Like, hey, this guy just mentioned flat Earth, or this guy thinks flat Earth is stupid. Help me find these other shows and help me get on them, because that's the way we're going to spread it. You know, we go to, you know, if I'm on a flat Earth show, there's only flat earthers there. They already know the Earth is flat. Great. We expand our minds, our thoughts. Like you guys are on the fence. You're already over the fence, just so you know.
I'm over the fence.
Yeah. And some of your audience hopefully is listening, and they're willing to go look after this conversation. But I love going on shows that says, oh, let's have this idiot on. We'll just make fun of him. And by the end of the show, they're holding their head going, my head hurts. Like, oh my God. And because I just opened up the world to them. So
absolutely,
everybody could help. Just let's get the word out there, because time is running out.
Yes,
it's very true. We've got to wake up the world.
That is
true. With that being said, everybody, thank you all for joining us this evening. I am Rob Yox. That's Flat Earth Dave and Dr. Joan, and we'll see you guys on the flip side.